Hello everybody, I'm Ham and you watch, welcome to Ham and Watch, and today a new video finally of 5 video game reviews. This time only good games, there's no bad games in there. It's mostly indie games except for one big giant, yeah, but lots of good games in here. I hope you all enjoy. Alright, first in the list we have a game that not many people know, HARDSPACE Shipbreaker. A bit of a mouthful for a game, and it's indie, it's not very famous, but it looks beautiful. When you look at it, you think, oh my god, is this an amazing FPS or whatnot? No, it's an indie game. It is a simulator type of game, where basically you are this poor guy working in space and stripping all the derelict ships and getting all their parts and putting them in a furnace and that stuff. It is very dystopian. It's a game that is very satirical about everything that is wrong with society, with all the big companies that exploit people and such. There's a big message in there, so if you're not into political message and stuff, you won't like that. There's a lot of that in there. There's a lot of humor, heavy humor sometimes, but the gameplay is really cool. I didn't know what this game was about before trying, and at first I thought it would be like all those games you see recently, whatever, shop manager simulator and all those, I'm sorry, stupid games, I don't like them. And I thought it would be that. But it's good. First, it's really pretty, the gameplay is rich, there's lots of stuff to do. It's very repetitive. After 20 hours of play, you still do the same thing, which is stripping spaceships out of their parts, but it's very relaxing at the same time, and a bit stressful also, because you're in space, everything you do is dangerous. It's supposedly, you know, to make fun of that, but it's good. I liked it. I wanted to go on and I wanted to see the story. The story is okay. I have some issues with the dialogues and with lots of stuff, but the game looks beautiful, the audio is great, the music is fantastic, and the gameplay is very satisfying. I'm going to give HARDSPACE Shipbreaker an 80%, but I'm giving it a B. It's a very good game, but not a great game. There's lots of stuff which are and I don't think I'll remember this game much in 10 or 20 years, so it's still a very good game. 80% for HARDSPACE Shipbreaker. Next, we have a little game that you probably never heard of. I think this game went completely under the radar on Steam and such. MINISHOOT Adventures. MINISHOOT Adventures is a very little indie game made by two guys from France, and it's a very indie looking game, and at the same time it looks adorable. If you've played some kind of shareware games from the late 90s, those games that you would get in a magazine as a CD-ROM, if you've played some free games on web browser in the 2000s and such, on, I don't know, Newgrounds, Congregate, what have you, it is very reminiscent of that. It is very reminiscent of those games that look not like much and are cutesy, cartoony looking, but it is great. It is great. I was completely baffled by this game. Lots of people will probably look at that and think this is just, it's nothing. It's such a tiny game. What's the point? Imagine Zelda meeting some kind of rocket launching type of little spaceship on a cartoony, whimsical world. It makes no sense. The story makes no sense. But these two guys poured their heart into this game, and the gameplay is so cool. The world exploration is so cool. You play with your two sticks on a controller, and you try to explore all the levels and the dungeons and fight the bosses and get the enemies and improve your little ship. And you find tons of secrets and you want to get everything. I loved it. It was awesome. I think this little game should be known much more, and if not, in any case, I hope they sold it enough so that they can make a great next game. But as it is, MINISHOOT Adventures is great. I'm giving it an 88%. That's an A. It's a great game. If by looking at this you think, wow, Zelda top-down meets indie exploration shooting game, I'm sold. Then you should definitely try. Alright, next in the list, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself because I am still playing that game. but I needed a little indie game here on third position, and also because I've been playing this game for quite a while, and I thought maybe, you know, I can review it. I don't think I'll ever finish it, if you can even finish this game. Shotgun King, the final checkmate. Oh my god, what a title. Shotgun King. If you know Balatro, if you know chess is very famous at the moment. And if you know all those games, all those roguelike games where you have this traditional formula taken from the classic game, mixed with all the improve your deck building thing and your stats and try to repeat and go further, like Balatro and such, you know exactly what this is about. And this is chess. If you hate chess, you're not gonna like it, I think. You need to like chess a bit, but also it's chess with a shotgun, and that makes it so different. At the same time, lots of people thought that this game would be rather easy or arcade, but the more it improved, the more they did some updates on the game, and the more complex it is. So basically, Shotgun King is a game where you play chess, you have only one black king, and you play against the white opponent who have several pieces, and then they get more and more pieces, and then you get a choice between a card and another. You only have two choices. That makes it so much easier than lots of roguelites where you have tons of stuff. But whenever you pick one upgrade for you, the opponent gets another upgrade, so you have to choose. It's a balance. Very simple. It's a very blue pill, red pill type of situation, and you only have about a dozen levels before reaching the boss. Once I was done with that, I thought that the game was just okay. Oh, it's just that. But then I came back to it and again, and it's a very pleasant pick and go type of game. You want to play for only 10 minutes, you only have 10 minutes, you can make a run of Shotgun King in 10 minutes. It's a very neat little game that's very cheap, that's very pleasant. It's silly, but it's very, very, very nice. I like it. Shotgun King, I give it a 75%. It's a B. It's a very good game. Very good little game if you're interested in chess and a quick roguelite game. Alright, and finally we have... Yes, I said finally because even if there's only 4 games, I'm going to put 2 games in one. I am cheating here. Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth. So there's a reason why I'm putting these 2 games together. First of all, I think they are so tied together that it's hard and a bit unfair to rate them separately, even if they are very different games. But also because I think that I love them so much that it would be hard to give a different rating. So I'm going to take a bit of time here to talk about the 2, but I'm talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, and I don't want to wait for next year or the year after that to finish the 3rd game of the trilogy and then do my review. I don't have time for this. I'm doing it now and I'll rate the 3rd one in time. Final Fantasy VII Remake, I already reviewed it on Steam as a written review, so people know I already love this game. People who know me love that I love Final Fantasy VII, and I actually consider Final Fantasy VII to be the best Final Fantasy of all time. I love lots of Final Fantasy, but the 7 for me is very special. Like many people, it was my first one, I believe, but also I think it's one of the richest in terms of story, one of the richest in terms of lore. Okay, let's start from the beginning. If you have never played a Final Fantasy ever, this is the perfect place to start. But be careful, you might like all the others less after that. If you've played some Final Fantasy but never the 7, you should definitely start from here and not from the original. I'll get in there. I'll explain why later. And then finally, if you've played Final Fantasy VII, the original before, if you've never played the remake trilogy, you should totally do yourself a favor and start right now. Final Fantasy VII is a Japanese RPG that is basically a complete reinvention of what happened in the 90s, where there was Final Fantasy VII, which was a fantastic JRPG, so different, so rich, so ambitious. And they've put most of the people that were originally in the first one here. These people have grown up and they wanted to do something very different while being extremely faithful to the original. Final Fantasy VII was like 100 hours Japanese RPG where you would spend, I would say the first, I don't know, the first maybe 10 hours in a big city, and then the rest of the game was in this huge open world. They decided to cut this game in 3 parts, where the first part, called Remake, would happen in that first city. So something that would take about 10 hours for most people, even less for some, now lasts something like 100 or 200 hours. And then the whole rest of the game in the open world, they split in 2 games, with Rebirth and the third one coming out soon or next year, whatever. And it also takes 200 hours to finish. It is insane. If you don't have time to invest in a Japanese RPG, you should not play this game. This game is insanely rich in content, and I had to rush through towards the end despite having spent something like 200 hours just because I want to play other games. But this could be a game where you spend your life on. Japanese RPG, you play your character, you evolve your character, you meet tons of other characters, you increase your party, your items. There's a damn ton of story and sub-quests and characters and environment and bosses and enemies, and this game is insane. Okay, if you've never played a Japanese RPG and you want to dive in and you want to drown in a Japanese RPG, this is the Bible for some. It is the Bible for me. This is the best Japanese RPG of all time. And contrarily to some who said that this remake was not faithful to the original and blah blah blah, this is insanely good. This is the best reinvention you can do of a work of art that already existed but didn't have enough budget or enough technological advancement to show everything. Now they could, they were able to do it, and they did it, and oh my god. Video, beautiful. The game is beautiful, beautiful. It's fantastic, it's beautiful. Audio-wise, I am not afraid to say that even if it's not my favorite of all time, I think the soundtrack of Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth is the best soundtrack, video game soundtrack of all time. I'm saying it right now. There is hundreds, I don't know, 400, 500 tracks that range from all the subgenres of music that you can find. Every subgenre that you can think of. Opera, hip-hop, metal, jazz, blues, it's electro, there's everything in there. There's everything. And it's actually really well done and very cool. The best soundtrack of all time, I'm serious. Gameplay, ultra rich. I will say that Remake was very cool, very streamlined, very smooth, while Rebirth is extremely complex and rich and much more advanced, all right? You have to get ready in Rebirth to have a very rich gameplay, very complex combats. The content, the story is fantastic. Yes, there is tons of very cringy Japanese humor and very sometimes childish and a bit. You will roll your eyes if you're grown up and if you're a teen, if you're like I don't know 15 or 20, you will have a blast. This might be the best game of all your life. I'm serious. If you're grown up and you grew playing Japanese RPG, this is such a tribute to that. There's so much in there. It's fantastic. I've already talked too much. I'm going to give Final Fantasy VII Remake a 95%. You should know that already if you follow me. It's an excellent game. And I'm just going to give Final Fantasy VII Rebirth a 96%. That's also an S. It's excellent. Both are S, masterpiece, excellent, but I'm just going to give one tiny percent more to Rebirth just to show that they actually did so much more. So much more in Rebirth. Rebirth is insane. Tons of mini games, tons of quests, characters, dialogues. It's insane. So I'm giving one more percent to say both are extremely similar and you should play them in order and you should never skip one. I don't think you should play Rebirth without having played Remake. It makes no sense. And you will thank me later. Best Japanese RPG trilogy or game of all time. Final Fantasy VII. 95%, 96%. That's it for today. These are my 4 or 5, I hope you will forgive me, reviews for video games. Lots of good games in there, lots of different genres. I think you can definitely find stuff that you will like. And yeah, if you want to dive into Japanese RPGs, this is the time. This is one of the best times just because of this masterpiece. I hope you enjoy all that. I'm trying to do a video each fortnight. Ideally, I'd like to do that every week, but it's a lot of work. Let me know if that's not enough or what. In the meantime, I'll see you next time for 5 more reviews. Bye bye.